tap in. Tap, tap, 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 tap in.
Welcome to TT from the D podcast show. It's Tap In Tuesdays around this part. And I want to welcome you all for stopping by to tap in with us. So I'm talking to all of my people that I know that's on Facebook. You've logged in through StreamYard. Shout out to all the people that will be coming through by way of Instagram. Wherever you are in the world, I am very grateful and very thankful. I'm very aware that there are several other platforms and podcast shows you could have logged on to or turned on in your radio and your radio, your car, whatever that looks like for you. But you chose to tap in with me, and I'm grateful for that. A lot of people have been asking me why I don't go live on Instagram, right? And I'm like, well, because StreamYard has not networked with them. You can have every other platform that we can go to through StreamYard, but unfortunately, Instagram is not one of them. So for some of the people who asked me if I could tap in over on Instagram, who don't have Facebook, who don't have Twitter, who does not have Tumblr or LinkedIn. And it's surprising because as we're moving and navigating, like I'm learning how to do TikTok, right? I'm learning how to do Snapchat. And so I'm like, you got to keep up with the times. And so I'm like, okay, well, that would require me to actually have to go live from my phone. And that's what I'm doing for all of my Instagram people. So salute to all the Instagram people. But hey, to all my other people that's all over the place, wherever you are. I meant to write down a list because I'm super excited. I'm going to share this and I'm going to jump right into our show because I'm not going to hold you long. Okay, I'm not going to keep you long on this Tap In Tuesday. But I have a lot of listeners and I'm shocked. When you start to look at your demographics and your analytics, and you're like, whoa, they're listening in Italy, they're listening in Bahrain, they're listening in Africa, right? They're listening here, of course, in the US, but there's several other places. And I'm thinking like, really? And it's exciting for me. So please excuse me. I'm excited about that because I look at it like I'm just TT from the D. And what's so cute is when I see someone, I've been out within the last 2 weeks, and it's funny to hear it, like not he, but funny to me when I hear somebody say, hey, TT from the D. I'm like, hi. And I'm thinking like, okay, come on, Jesus, right? Because you know how it is as an entrepreneur or a person who's trying to brand themselves. You go out and whatever it is you're branding, whether it's a health care product, whether it's a magazine, whether it's, clothing, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's a restaurant, whatever it looks like for you, you are your brand. And so when I go out and I host, I tend to try to wear my TT from the D shirts. Shout out to Cedrina from Color Intense Studio. She's gonna kill me if I jacked it up, and I probably did. But she's the one you see that did my amazing banner in the back. She does my shirts. I'm super excited. Very talented, gifted young woman. But what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start running some ads, and I'm going to start running some commercials and promoting some of my promoters' things on my show. And so I'm excited about that, to get some graphics to be able to show you, because that's what it's about, networking and politicking, right? You know how you tap somebody on the shoulder, and, shout out to a couple of people. I won't drop names at this moment, but I got some work coming up, and it's by referrals. And I've been seeing a lot of people post it like, hey, a lot of times we get not just by, plastering posters and things of that nature, but word of mouth. Right. And then I've heard people, and I see people, because I can read it with my eyes like you can, that they'll say, well, you know what? my work speaks for itself. And I'm like, I humbly say that to myself. Like, you know what? I think my work speaks for itself. You know, right? I'm a as a shout out to Lewis Manley, as he said, we call him Boss Man. He'll say, TT from the D, jack of all trades, get it done, TT, you know, and he'd be making jokes or whatever. And it's funny to me. But when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I'm a jack of all trades, right? When I was younger, people called me little African, little Jamaican, because I'm always doing something somewhere, helping somebody. So anyway, tonight's hot topic. Let's get to that. We're not talking about anything else. I was digressing. So let me move forward so I don't hold you long. But tonight we're talking about conformity. What conformity? And what does that mean? Like when you hear the word conform, right? It took me a long time, well into my adult years, to understand what the word conform means. And so you hear it loosely, you know, you hear it widely, but to really know what that looks like. So for those of you that's on Instagram, again, as I said, you won't be able to see the graphics unless I switch the camera. I'm gonna try to switch the camera because I want you to be able to get this. If you're not able to go to your Facebook account, I don't want you to miss anything when I show the video. I have a couple of little things I want to show and I want to tap into that, but I don't want you guys over there in Instagram world to miss that. Fit Life. Hey, all the way from California. You just walking in your gift. Amen, brother. Shout out to Lewis. What's up? And Karen, all the way in California. Mwah, much love to you. Okay, so I'm gonna switch this camera around because I want to show you guys something. For those of you that's already with me, you already see it. So Instagram, please don't kill me. I'm gonna try. I'm trying. I'm really trying. So let's see how. First of all, how you switch? I think I know how to switch it. Let's see. Let's see. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. Okay. Hey. Okay. So we're gonna just kind of rock out with that. Because I want you guys, I don't know. I want you guys to be able to see. It's not great. Oh, look at Jesus. Won't he do it? Hey. Okay, Instagram. Y'all might get a little something over there. Okay, anyway. So let me put up this first piece right here. Right? When you see that, you guys see that yellow Instagram people, you guys see the little yellow person sticking his head out like, are we all in unison trying to figure out what's going on, right? That's because everyone else has conformed. That's just like saying, okay, everybody is going to wear white and we're going to show up and we're going to do this or do that. And so you're like, okay, everybody's wearing white. But then you come and you say, I'm not going to wear white. I'm not going to conform to that because I want to stand out. And yeah, you can stand out, but if it's unison, see, sometimes you need to conform, okay? Sometimes you need to conform, and let me tell you why. For instance, if I work on an event and they say, okay, hey, production is wearing all black, there's a reason why we wear all black, right? Or we might say, hey, we're going to do this and splash of this color. There's a reason for that conformity because we want to show unison, right? We want to show that we're together on one accord, right? Now you always gonna have that one that might want to come and say, "Well, I'm gonna be a little bit different." Okay, I'm like that, like one we just showed right here. He said, "I know y'all said wear white, but I'm gonna wear yellow." And you got some people that's like that. And sometimes you just be like, "I'm not about to fight this battle. This is not my battle to fight. I'm not about to go to war for this." So sometimes you overlook that, but we can't always do that because, as I said, sometimes it's good to conform, but sometimes it's not. Okay. And those times that it's not is when we can get into something. For instance, let's see, so many of them, but tonight we're going to talk about adopting habits. Okay. Conformity. When you adopt a habit, adopting habits may be good or bad, and they're part of the conformity, right? Youngsters, our young people are very impressionable, right? We still have adults. I'm impressionable. I get inspired and encouraged and motivated easily. However, in my older age, in my tender older age, right? I'm like, no, that don't feel right in my spirit. Like that don't make sense. So if it don't make sense to me, I don't care what y'all doing. If it doesn't make sense to me, I'm not gonna do it. And even if it's one of those moments where I just said, you're gonna say, "Oh, TT, you're contradicting yourself." No, if we pull up at a store and we all like, oh, we're gonna run in and grab blah blah blah, and somebody decides, hey, we should just steal it or we should just take it, and it's like, oh no, I'm not about to do that. So it's kind of like, well, everybody like, well, we gonna do it. Why you ain't? I'm not gonna conform. How about I'm not even going in the store with y'all? How about I'm not even gonna probably ride back in the car with you? Because if the car becomes hot, I'm not going down for a Snickers and some Pringles or whatever you decide to come out the store with because you ain't want to pay with, but you got a pocket or a purse or a wallet full of cash. You understand that? That example, conforming, that's a bad habit to conform. But for our young people, we have to be very mindful. That's why I said in my promo for this show tonight that this is a kid-friendly show. Because a lot of times kids conform and they don't even know they're conforming. And some might round it up and put it in a bed of, oh, pure pressure. But there's also that conform. An example that I'm gonna move right on is at my younger son's school. I noticed all of a sudden he started buying a whole bunch of hoodies. So I was like, why is he buying all these hoodies? Like, what is going on? And then it was brought to my attention that that is the culture, that 90% of the kids wear hoodies at my son's school. So hoodies and sweats, joggers, right? And I'm like, okay. So I had the conversation about not conforming, being yourself, wearing what you want to wear, being your own person, because it's not a uniform. See, that's that part of we don't have to conform. It was not dress code worthy. Like, hey, everybody's going to wear sweaters and joggers. That's not what they said. It was just, oh, I noticed everybody's wearing hoodies and oh, I like it. Now, if you like hoodies and you're into hoodies, that's all good. And fortunately for my younger son, he does love hoodies. He's always loved hoodies. However, I'm like, this school year, buddy, we're gonna do some shifting, right? We're gonna do some shifting because at the same time, think about this conformity. Imagine something taking place that isn't right, and then police get called, or a family member or family members get called because something happened, and all the person or people could describe was, oh, they were wearing a hoodie. Example, just use an example. They was wearing a hoodie. It was a gray hoodie. Okay. Okay. So y'all aware that there's white, red, blue, black, gray, purple, pink. There's all these colors, right? We're so beyond primary colors, but there's so many colors. So if you happen to be in a gray hoodie and you're the only one walking down the street and they rolling up, they don't know. All they know is the person had on a gray hoodie. And there you have it. Now everybody looking alike, and it's crazy because it's like, you got to try to justify who you are if they give you that moment of time. And how many times have we heard or read in social media mistaken identity? Okay. And that's one of those moments where you feel and you hope that your people will not conform, right? Okay. So let's move on to this one. I love this one. I didn't know who the originator of this was. I've always liked to share this, especially with the young people, or I would use it as an example when I'm talking to people about being themselves, right? Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Now, that is by Oscar Wilde. I never knew that was a phrase that he coined, Oscar Wilde, that he phrased, be yourself, everyone else is taken. I love that phrase. It's true to the word. It's true to the meaning, right? I like to go a little further and I say, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is real life we're living in, right? Hey, Jervis. Hi, Jervis, my mentor. Hey. So we go in and we look at things, and I always say there's no understudy for you. There's only one TT from the D. There's only one Jervis Canty. You understand? There's only one Meg Thee Stallion. There's only one Nicki Minaj. There's only one Mel Gibson. There's only one Jimmy Iovine. You get what I'm saying? There's only one of these people. However, you could be encouraged and motivated by these people to say, you know what? They got a lot going on. I really like what they're doing. And I'm going to take a little bit of that and a little bit of this and conform it into what I want to be, right? Oh, and I think about an amazing brunch I had the pleasure of attending with a couple of my sisters from a sister circle group I belong to. Chef Chris, shout out to Chef Chris. Amazing. It was a sexy brunch we did. It was a private event. We watched an amazing artist do her thing, and she gave me Jill Scott vibes. But she wasn't imitating Jill Scott. She also gave me Erykah Badu vibes, but she wasn't imitating Erykah Badu. She was her own woman, and she gave a heck of a show. And I thought to myself, I see a little bit of that and a little bit of that inspiration upon who she is. Yet I was able to see who she was as an artist, right? So I say that because while we're conforming and we're trying to do and be and portray things and people we're not, back to this, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. For instance, I'm a podcaster amongst a lot of other things that I do. I don't try to do my podcast show like anybody else. Why? Because firstly, for all my friends that's in education, gonna be like, what do you do? Okay, whatever. It could be my little glass of wine and it could not be. I don't know. But firstly, I would like to say that I am who I am. And this necklace right here, for those that you can see, let me see right there. It says extra, right? Some of my friends, my people, my connections, they're like, yeah, that necklace fits you perfect, TT, because you extra. And I make little noises like, ew, and do little things like that. That's just me. Or you'll hear people saying behind my back, okay, because you haven't said this to me, and it's all great. I respect you. You can say what you like, right? I am who I am. Some people behind my back will say, oh, she's doing too much. Oh, she's way too extra. Well, I am extra. I've always been animated. I'm very short in stature, but I got a big old spirit and a big personality, and I love who I am, and I am who I am. One thing you ain't got to worry about this girl doing is conforming to being someone else. I could be inspired and motivated by somebody, and I'm inspired by many people that I surround myself with. But I'm only going to be TT. I can only be that girl, TT from the D, right? I'm Teresa. I'm Teresa. Let ever I tell it, I'm Teresa and TT. There's two sides. It could be a couple more. I'm not a Gemini, but it could be a couple more sides. But I am who I am. I'm not code switching. Some people might say, oh, you're code switching. Oh my God, you're code switching. No, I just know how to adapt like a chameleon. Okay. If it was a situation and I needed to conform within reason, but still being me, I'm going to be able to do that. Why? Because I love people, right? I understand that in this thing we call life, this journey we're on, we're going to have to conform. Not all the time, but sometimes we're going to have to conform to situations and circumstances that require it. As the example that I gave you, which was a positive example of if you're working on a production or you're working on a movie and they ask you to dress a certain way, I need you to conform or you'll be fired. Okay. So dress code. How many kids? I work in education. So how many children have I seen be suspended because they didn't want to wear what they were supposed to because they wouldn't conform? Well, okay, there's rules. So that gets to this one. Okay. Because I have a couple of these I want to point out. I'm not going to hold you long, but rules. Okay. Following the rules. For example, when we're driving, we know to drive in America, in most places, we drive on the right side of the road, right? We drive on the right side of the road. If you can go east and west, north and south, you're going to go on the right side of the road in most places. Well, my husband, who travels abroad quite often, he's always telling me amazing stories about his travels and his experiences in other countries that he loves to go and visit when he's working, when he's doing this thing as an artist. And he told me, like, for instance, there's a car in another country where the steering wheel is on the right side of the car versus the left side, how it is in America. And then how we drive on the right side of the road in America and in most places. Overseas, in some places, you drive on the left side of the road. So that would be confusing. We would have to conform to that. See, that's one of those things where I say it's okay to conform, because if you don't conform, you're going to cause an accident, kill yourself or someone else because you're not conforming. Okay. So that's one of those when we do need to conform. Okay. Um, there's rules when we don't. Okay. Speed limit. We have to conform, right? You in a 35 miles per hour zone. That's what they require you to do. Now, every now and then, the foot get a little heavy. We understand, get a little heavy. You got to watch the mirrors, right? You got to watch all your sides, right? Keep your head on the swivel. And so, but if you get pulled over, you really can't say nothing because you weren't following the rules. And there's consequences, right? There's repercussions and consequences, right? For every action, there's a reaction. We know this, okay? We learned that early in life, but some of us as adults still don't know that or pretend we don't know that, but you know. And if you don't know, that was a little reminder, little nugget I dropped for you. Let's talk about greetings, okay? You get people that do the handshakes, certain handshakes, right? And I don't know where we adopt them from. We see them, they're cool. Oh, I'm going to do that. Okay, that's great. But you watch someone, and you've adapted to it, you've adopted it, you conform to it. a term of affectionate endearment. You see someone, you give them a hug upon greeting, upon leaving their presence. Then you also might hug them, give them a high five, shake their hand, whatever it is. There's a way we do it, but it's conformity. We don't even realize a lot of times it's conformity. Dressing a certain way. You could be inspired. Like I said, there's a difference in being inspired and motivated, but then you have it where it's kind of like, you single white female. Okay. Remember that movie, Single White Female? And she was very inspired by her roommate and wanted what she had and really, really appreciated who she was, that she wanted to be her so bad that she cut her hair like her. She started to dress like her, right? These are all unhealthy things too. This is unhealthy. And try to behave like her. It was like, oh my God, like that's scary. And I have a really good sister friend. Won't say who she is, but she's had real life stalkers, right? So much so those real life stalkers try to befriend me. Like, what? Like, first of all, I am who I am. Back up, Tina. Back up. And I'm using a name. That ain't even a name, but no, I don't think so. So, trying to dress like her, live in the same type of house as her, drive the same kind of car as her, do her hair like her, even smile, pose. I was like, what in the Lifetime special is happening here? That's why I say it's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about cues. Now, I love this. So this is when we get to the video, okay? Cues. We don't realize that sometimes when we walk into a room or into a place, a meeting, we look for cues. Okay. And if you don't know what's happening, you would conform without knowing you're conforming. And let me show you this clip to explain it a little bit better than I can.
To answer that question, we set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you? After just 3 beeps, and without knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group. But what happens if we take the group away?
Elaine, please.
Okay, now she's alone. The crowd is gone and nobody is watching her, except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do? She's now conforming to the rules of the group without them even being there. Now, watch what happens when we introduce another outsider who doesn't know the rules.
Have a seat and they'll be out in just a couple minutes. Great, thanks so much.
Everybody was doing it, so I thought I was supposed to.
Think she'll teach the new guy what to do? We kept the cameras rolling as more unsuspecting patients arrived. And slowly but surely, what began as a random rule for this woman has now become the social norm for everyone in this waiting room. Here to explain what's going on in their brains is Jonah Berger of the University of Pennsylvania.
This sort of internalized form of herd behavior is part of what we call social learning. Starting at a very early age, when we see members of our group perform a task, our brains literally reward us for following in their footsteps.
When I saw everybody stand up, I felt like I needed to join them. Otherwise, I'm like excluded. Once I decided to go with it, then I felt much more comfortable.
Conformity is how we become socialized, but it can also cause us to develop bad habits or repeat past wrongs.
And it's why even this rebel, who wasn't standing for any of this nonsense, eventually joined the ranks. And the only thing more shocking than seeing how easily conformity affects the way you act is that similar forces are subconsciously shaping the way you think right now.
So, wasn't that Jervis said this is crazy? It is. And in the wake of what's happening in the world, there's so much that's happening. Good, not good, bad, not bad. Happiness, of course, we're always happy for that, but we tend to conform. And you see how that was? It's kind of like when that man said, "Why are you standing?" She said, "I don't know. Everybody else was doing it, so I decided to do it." And so then he was just like, "Oh, okay." And then I thought when I first watched the video a couple of years ago, this video is kind of old. My husband brought it to my attention. I'm thinking like, "Well, people do that." That man started doing it. And I was thinking like, dang, well, she didn't understand why she was doing it. She couldn't explain to him, but he went on, well, you're doing it because everybody else is doing it, so I guess we need to be doing it. And as that gentleman explained, we reward ourselves because we think like, oh, okay, everybody's doing this, right? For instance, a good conformity would be when COVID-19 hit, right? And we were able to go shopping. It was a social norm to take a wipe and wipe down the handles because people hands, germs, just everything. We were doing things trying to be safe. And then I watched how some people like, well, I'm not going to do it, or I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do this. And like, oh, we're not doing that anymore. Okay. And I'm like, I still go in there and wipe down the handle to this day. I'm going to wipe down the handle because germs, people nasty. You see people, grown people just digging in their nose, doing all kinds of stuff, and then grabbing stuff. And it's like, oh my God, like, wait. So when you think about simple things like that video I just showed you about conformity, that's what I was saying when I was doing my promo commercial for this show tonight. A lot of times we conform and we don't know we're conforming. When we go into a store or a place of business or to a restaurant and we see a line, we automatically go in line. Now, when it's a line facing this way and a line facing this way, and you don't know where the beginning or the end is, instead of just jumping in a line, what I do for me, I'll say, I'm sorry, is this the end of the line or is this the beginning? Where does the line start? Right? Because I want to know. I'm not just going to stand in line and they're like, oh, well, I thought, no, I didn't think nothing. I thought like, okay, it must be a line, but I don't know which way it is. Let me go ask. And then I've had people that'll say, oh, I'm glad you asked because I didn't know. But you were standing in line, though. You didn't even know where the line started. So as I said earlier in the show, there's good conformity and then there's not good conformity. For instance, a person that, let's just say a person had an addiction. There's so many different levels of addiction. I won't pick one. An addiction is an addiction. It's just like what's heavier, 1,000-pound car or 1,000 pounds of cotton. When I was a child, I would be like, duh, 1,000-pound car. But then my teacher's like, no, 1,000 pounds is 1,000 pounds. It's like apples to apples, oranges to oranges, right? So when we look at things and we start to compare them and we see similarities, we have to stop and say, okay, all right, this is making sense. This doesn't make sense. I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this, right? And we have to take a hard pause. And in the times in which we're living, there's so much going on where we're conforming. And as I said earlier, this is a kid-friendly show because it's important that our children know that. So getting back to an addiction, like I said, an addiction is an addiction. So let's just say you're a recovering shopaholic and your friend or family members know you're a recovering shopaholic and they know like you are struggling with that, right? Because that's really an addiction. It really is. And they say, hey, you want to go with me? I'm going to run a couple of errands. And it's like, well, where are you going? I'm going to grab something to eat, pay a couple of bills. Oh, okay. Then they pop up at the mall or an outdoor mall, right? Oh, let's just go in for a second. They know you have an addiction you're trying to conquer, but yet they invite you to come, right? They think like, nah, you ain't got to buy nothing. But if it's an addiction, how you just going to walk away? You got your purse or your wallet or Apple Pay or whatever it is, a checkbook, whatever you do. And it's kind of like, I'm going to just buy this one little thing. Okay, let's use something more relatable to some. You could be a recovering alcoholic. Okay, let's use that. And some people will say, I can't go anywhere they serve alcohol because I'm tempted. I'll get tempted. I haven't beat that. And I don't know if I'm strong enough to beat it if it gets on my back. Well, you shouldn't go anywhere. And I know plenty of people for real, in real life, that as adults say, hey, I can't go where they serve alcohol. I can't. Okay. I know some people, I won't say the gender. I know some people that are sex addicts and they can't even go to a strip club, right? They can't go to a strip club because it stimulates something for them, right? And it's kind of like they know I can't. So if they get invited to a bachelor or bachelorette party, right? They know like, nah. And if it's at a strip club, they're like, nah, because that's a weakness for them. You have to know your triggers, right? But some people could say it's peer pressure. Well, everybody's going. You're going to be the only one ain't going. You should go. You need to be there, blah, blah, blah. And then you're struggling and you're like, well, I could beat it. Okay. All right, fine. Then you go. And then you have a backsliding season or a moment. And then what? Now you're back to the drawing board, right? You're back to the beginning and you're mad at yourself because you conformed to something that you shouldn't or you struggle with. Okay. So let's go here. This scripture. Okay. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. That's in Romans 12:2. Okay. I'm going to read that again. In Romans 12:2, it reads, and do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Now, you might say, TT, here you go. No, I shared that. I had to share that. It kind of goes back to that video we just watched. If you're late coming on, if you really want to see and what we really get into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about, go back just a little bit and look at the video once this uploads after this show ends, and you'll be able to see how those folks conformed. And a lot of them was conforming and they wasn't even aware they were conforming, right? They're looking like, this is what we're doing? Oh, we're doing, okay, we're doing it. They don't know why they're doing it. Who told them to do it? Nobody came out and gave a directive. They just saw one person doing it, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I don't want to be the only one. And if y'all noticed in that video, everybody was pretty much in black and white, except that woman in the beginning, she had on color because it clearly showed you she stood out. And because she was looking around, she like, I don't want to stand out. And in life, a lot of times, I think we do that, right? I had some really good, interesting conversation with some really good, amazing people the other day while I was out working an event. And we were talking about BBLs. I don't have a problem with BBLs, right? I wouldn't mind getting a BBL. I wouldn't, but I don't want to go through all the pain, the process, and all that. Plus, God didn't give me a BBL on purpose. So chances are I'm not supposed to have one. But the other part of that is that there's people that are getting botched jobs because they conforming. I want a butt that looks like Nicki Minaj, or I want a butt that looks like Meg Thee Stallion, or I want a butt that looks like I don't know, Lee Anderson. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. Y'all get what I'm saying. Or I want some breast implants, right? I'm not mad at that, right? If I could have got a breast implant uplift or lift up or whatever you want to call it, I would have did that too, like right back in the day. now I'm like, nah, because it's so many side effects and all these things that happen. And then I think again, like I said about the BBL, if Jesus wanted me to have that, he would have gave it to me because I'd probably be a whole fool. So God was like, no, your little girl, you're not going to get that. You're not getting that. So work with what you got. Okay, so I do that. But there are people that'll say, well, I want boobs that look like this or look like that. A little enhancement, taking some fat and putting it in a natural, okay, cool, that's your natural body fat. It's in there, they do whatever, but you're starting to put foreign things into your body, right? Butt implants or breast implants, and then they leak or they make you ill, and sometimes they can kill you, the process. But you're looking at what other people, like I said earlier, we could be inspired and motivated and encouraged, like, oh, she's beautiful. I love her body. I love a lot of ladies. I think a lot of ladies like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. Whether it's natural or she got a little enhancement, I don't care. But that's what they choose to do. There are some people that feel, and I've had conversations with people like that feel like I have to do this because everybody's doing it. And I'm thinking like, that's the wrong reason. Like you don't go out and do something like that drastic to your body because everybody's doing it. You're conforming. And it's like, especially if your significant other can say, I love you the way you are, right? I got a comment. Shout out to Bianca. Dave, hey, all the way from Atlanta. Bianca said, true. I feel like everyone is losing their individuality and starting to look the same. I agree. That came from my sister from Atlanta. Same body, same face. Bam. Okay. Whoo, you on to something. I wish I could bring you on my live. I don't know how to do that on my Instagram. Oh, I wish I could. I don't really know how to do that. I'm gonna learn because that's good, Bianca. I'm like, and no shade, because I love people, right? But when you start looking like relatives that we know darn well ain't your relative, it's a problem. All I can say is y'all must be going to the same surgeon. I wanna and think about this. I remember reading this article, this real talk. I don't remember the source, so I can't cite it for you as if I was writing an APA paper. But anyway, but if you Google woman gets botched job trying to look like Angelina Jolie, like Angelina Jolie lips is for real, for real. Those was her voluptuous full lips. I've never seen a white girl that had lips like Angelina Jolie when I was little. And I always thought, like, is she mixed? That's what I used to think as a kid. Like, Angelina Jolie daddy must be black. That's what she got some black in her because her lips were full and beautiful. And then this woman was like, I want to look like Angelina. So she saved money, worked her butt off to go and have reconstructive surgery. When I tell you, initially, she was looking like Angelina Jolie. Then she got overzealous with it. And now she looks like she's the crypt keeper. And I'm like, oh my God, when do you say enough is enough? That's even with the BBLs. You can get a little bit of lifting, right? Okay. If you don't want to get the butt pad or the jeans that'll lift your butt and you really want to go and take some fat, because we all got a little bit of, not all, I'm going to take that back. Some of us, like I got enough fat to pull out a lot of like, look at that. Look fat. What is that? Trying to get in that gym to tone that up because ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, no, anyway, seriously, on a serious note. So you can take a little something naturally and organically and put it in your body if that's what you want to do. I'm going to tighten this up and lift this up and, whatever you're going to do. You got people who get breast reductions because they like, this is way too much. My back hurt. I got back problems. I had an aunt that was really chesty and used to complain about back problems. And it was just like, I used to be like, dang, that's because probably her chest is big, right? And so you got people, I know people that have had breast reductions. And it's like, okay, whatever works for you. Like I said, I'm not here to bash anybody. I love everybody. And I think women are beautiful. I think we are beautiful with or without the added on things we add on. If it is an enhancement that you want, ladies, then you do that. But don't let it cause you to lose your life. Don't let it make you look like your neighbor, your friend. Now y'all all grouped together. Somebody, a little child like, you my mommy? You know my mom. You look just like my mom. You built like my mommy. Yeah, wow. Right? Like, we don't want to do that. But that goes back to conforming. We have to know what's for us, what's not for us, who we are, be comfortable in our skin, think for ourselves. I attended a beautiful homegoing service today. Shout out to my sister in Christ, Monica Jones. wonderful service for her mother, Mama Jones. And Monica said some things that really resonated. And she said some things that her mother had said to her. And one of the things that stood out was think for yourself. Don't let nobody think for you. Think for yourself. Be your own person. Somebody on your back, get them off your back. And we have to take that approach in life. We for ourselves. God gave us a brain, right? That each one of us have in our head. How we use it or don't use it is totally up to us. We don't have to conform to the way of the world. What did that scripture say? Let me go back to it just in case you forgot. In Romans 12:2. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. That's his word. And when you think about it, do what's best for you. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me, and vice versa. We can give advice. A lot of times we do say this and we don't realize it. If I was you, I would, but we're not you. What did this say? Oscar Wilde said, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Period. Be yourself. People love you. How about this? If you're trying to look like somebody else, be somebody else, as I said, the example I gave single white female earlier, you're conforming. We missing who you are supposed to be to us in this world, right? If Erica Badu or Jill Scott or Vivian Green or I got another one, I love her, India Arie decided I don't want to come out and be this way, the way I want to be, because people might not accept me. So maybe I should perform or sound like this person. All of us who are fans of their work would have been cheated by the gifts that were intentionally deposited into each one of them women. Everybody is their own man, their own woman. We have one Eddie Murphy. We have one Red Fox, but they inspired many people. Okay? We have one Lucille Ball. You get it? These folks set a standard and people were inspired and encouraged and motivated. They didn't conform and say, I'm going to do my stand-up just like them. They said, I like the way they did this. I'm going to put a spin on it and be me. And because they took a chance on being an individual, we are fans of their work because they held on to their individuality and didn't conform to the conformity plots and plans that the world easily put out there for us. Think about this. Yesterday, about 20 ATF machines, the little four-wheelers, three-wheelers were confiscated. Okay? Because they were out here riding illegally or whatever that looked like. Well, I was sad to know that in the same night, it made crime in the D again, that these individuals broke into, and I said, wow, you broke into the impound yard to steal back what was taken from you because you was doing wrong. I said earlier, when we have actions, a reaction is always spun from an action. Every action causes a reaction, whether good, bad, or indifferent. And you have to make the right choices. But if you were one of those people that had your bike taken, you have to suck it up as a loss. Why be a part? Hey, we're going to go back and get our bikes. It ain't like this is somebody who stole it and y'all about to boss up on them. This was the police. You went and broke into the police impound lot and stole. They don't know who you are. Okay. So I'm like, what? Like, why? And so a lot of things is happening in the world. And that's why I decided that Romans 12:2, I was talking about that with some friends, co-workers, my boss, well, one of my bosses. And I was just like, I got to do something on that. And I tied it to conformity because I'm looking at how we're conforming as human beings, how we're letting go of our individuality, like who you are as a person. When you see me, you see TT, or however you call me, Teresa, whatever you call me, right? And That's who I am. I'm guaranteed to be me. Now I'm zany, and what did I say this necklace say? Extra. People say, oh, you always doing too much. Okay, well, whatever. That's just who I am. I am who I am. But you know that's me. I can tone it down a little bit. Like I was hot as chili peppers earlier. Something foul happened earlier, and I had to address it. And I had to pray. Okay. I had to pray as I was walking into this establishment because I was on fire. I was like, okay, I want to be professional, but I'm gonna let you know I mean what I mean, I'm not leaving unless I get what I know I came here to get. And we call the police, we can do all that. And I said that, and I meant that from my whole soul, right? But I ended up being able to recover what was rightfully mine that was wrongly taken from me. And I said, last month was a woozy. If y'all know, my purse was stolen, and it had all my ID, all my credit cards, my money that I had, just things, how you got things planned. Okay, I'm gonna pay this bill, I'm gonna do this, or I gotta do this, and then somebody come and take it from you, and you like, what? So I was in a stoop for a couple of days, and I finally was bouncing back. Like, okay, it's going, a few minutes to get the ball rolling, but we're not gonna stay in that sunken place. We're not doing it. And then here come this foolery today, and I'm like, hey, and I had just left the funeral. I was like, okay, listen, Jesus, I need you, Father, to help me. Help me. All right. I need you to help me. Because I'm about to walk in here and I'm on fire. I can act the whole clown. Like we all can. But you don't get anywhere with that. That was like the ace in the hole. But I was ready. Like, we could call the police. You can call my call. Somebody can call. Because I'm not leaving until I get what I came for. That's what we not going to do. So I was thinking like, oh, they're probably like, oh my God. And I noticed the Karens and people around, right? And I'm thinking like, I'm not talking to you. So stay back there. You can get your video camera, whatever. But I didn't act a fool because I'm a professional. I'm representing Teresa. I'm representing TT from the D. I represent my family, my husband, my job, my associates, my clients. So I can't be on these streets acting crazy. But what you're not going to do is punk me. That's what you're not going to do. So anyway, moving on. I got that all settled. But it was just like, I'm not going to conform. I'm going to act accordingly. And that's what we have to do. We got so far away from that in this time. There's so much going on out here. You got people murdering people, killing people, copycat killers, all kind of. I'm like, what is happening? Right? Conformity. Think of this. I ain't gonna go there because that's a whole nother podcast. But I'll be talking about something very soon, and you will be able to be like, "Oh, girl, I was going, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I know." But like, there's a lot that's happening. Right. And we're not aware of a lot of things. Sometimes we close our eyes to things, and sometimes we're wide awake and we're looking right at something dead on, and we still don't want to address it. We'd rather conform than be the different person. See, we'd rather have on this all white and not be the yellow. Sometimes it requires to have on that yellow though. Sometimes you have to stand out. You can't conform all the time. There's a time to conform, and then there's a time not to. Okay. Just like in one of my favorite script books in the Bible, Ecclesiastes 3:1-9. I love that one because I believe that it's my personal opinion, TT from the D, personal opinion, that in Ecclesiastes 3:1-9, it clearly tells us that everything beneath the sun is going to manifest and already has happened and it's going to happen again. Like life is like a recycled dream, right? People have lived here before what they say, BC, AD, right? All that, right? So people in the biblical days was living 700, 800, 900 years. We don't do that any longer. But in today's time, we could look at things that's happening right now, the plagues and all kind of stuff, and say, this has happened. And I had this prayer this morning. I have a ritual, a little routine I do every morning on my way out to work or wherever I'm doing. When I leave my home, I pray. I immediately, when I get in my car, start it up, I start to pray until I get where I'm going or whenever I'm not needing to pray. And then it's kind of like I just thank God for keeping me, right? Keeping me when I couldn't keep myself. I know you think you keep yourself. I know you think that. But sometimes you don't. And then the assigned angels that I believe that's assigned to us, they work hard every day. And their jobs of warring for us are harder because the way of the world is so wicked. And then I said to myself in my prayer this morning out loud, I said, Lord, growing up, I always heard the older people saying, we're living in trying times. We're living in our last days. As a kid, I used to be thinking like, is Jesus coming tomorrow? okay, he must be coming. Oh, grandma said he on his way. And I'm like, grandma gone. She went to heaven long, long time ago. I'm still here. Like, but our time is not God's time. Right? We're aware of that. But when I look at it, I said, I'm now the elder, right? In my age, I'm the elder. And I'm now saying what the elders said to me. The world is getting colder and crueler. People have lack of respect for people, one another, for things, for life, right? Some people give up. They don't want to fight no more. They just say, I throw it all away. You can have it, but you still got to live in this thing called a world. And it goes back to what he said. Be in the world, but not of it. We don't have to be of the world, y'all. We just need to learn how to be who we're supposed to be and be the best version of who we're supposed to be. That's right, Crystal. Crystal P said, our thoughts are not his thoughts. Thank you for sharing that, Queen. You're right. Our thoughts are not his thoughts. And if anybody else want to share something on there, please do. I would love to share it. Crystal also said zero respect for the elderly. Crystal, my sister in Christ, you're a friend, indeed. You've also been a boss to me, right? But Crystal just lost a relative. Y'all know it's been all over social media. It's been all over the nation news, nationwide, that she lost her cousin in the line of duty. He was doing his job, protecting and serving. And, you know, his life was taken by someone who really was lost in this world. And that's something else that's scary. You got so many people walking around lost in their own head that they can't even act outside, but then they make poor choices that actually affects other people. It's a domino effect. Crystal said, that's right. Be the best we can be. That's right, sis. Yeah. But it's crazy. And that's why I felt we just need to really grasp on to understanding that we don't have to conform in this world. We need to be the best versions of ourselves. We all have divine purpose attached to us, whether you know it a lot or believe it. Some of people don't believe it, and that's okay. I'm not here to bash and tell you or try to make you. I can't make anybody do anything. All I can do is share my own life experiences. I can't wait. I'm thinking about doing a show called A 40-Day Journey of 40 Different People. And letting people who have a story, because we all have a story, choosing 40 different people with 40 different type of stories in their lives that are willing to come on and talk about their journey from where they were to where they are now, the journey in their life. And so that was in my heart earlier. And I'm like, when am I have time to do that? And does that make sense? And will people want to do that? Do people want to hear that? But I always think this. There's always going to be some woman, some man, some boy, some girl, somewhere in the world, in the US or overseas, that may can speak American English or not, okay? Speak their own dialect or whatever that looks like, that feels alone, that feels like they're the only one that's going through something that they're going through, that they can't talk to their family or their friends, or they can't afford counseling or whatever that looks like, that needs to be reminded they're not the only one. So I'm interested in doing that. Crystal P said, we as parents need to parent and cultivate the purpose in our children. Children are lost because parents are lost. Yeah, I touch and agree with you on that, Crystal. I'm going to leave that right there for a minute. We do. It's our young people that's out here just doing the most in the worst way. Not doing the most where we're proud of them, doing the most in the worst way. But then that's what we see in social media. Don't get me wrong. There's so much goodness also that we're so numb to because we're so conformed to sharing all the negative. We want people to be in the aware. We want you to be in the know. I get that. But also share the goodness. Some of our young people are doing amazing things. Some of our elderly are doing amazing things. Some people my age are doing amazing things. But it's put on the back burner because we putting out all the negative things, the terrible things at the forefront, where we're not wanting to stay on social media. We don't want to turn on our televisions. We don't want to listen to the radio because we are tired. Well, if we're tired, then we need to do something about being tired. You can't fix the world. I'm not telling you you can. But what I am telling you is you can contribute to not conforming to the world, to making, helping a brick by brick, right? A brick by brick. Think of this. This is a beautiful book one of my sister friends gave me, right? It's a journal. I can write my story, okay? And I can fill up these pages, page by page. I can go and write the beginning and jump to write the end, but I don't know how my story ends. So if we don't know how our story ends, we definitely know how our story begins. And what I want to leave you with is knowing that this too shall pass. Everything we encounter, endure, partake in, will leave. Just like life is a part of death and death is a part of life, you cannot have one without the other. If you are alive and you are living, you must die. It is inevitable. It says it in the word. It's facts. I'm not telling you something like I made a hypothesis. This is what we know. If you've been alive long enough and you're an adult or young person, you've lost somebody, or you've seen people. You could turn on social media and see somebody missing, dead, all just terrible stuff. But when you look at your days, if you look at the time, if you look at what you want to do, remember, it's one day at a time, one step at a time, one breath at a time. So on that note, I'm going to leave y'all with this. Just for those of you that may not know what we were talking about, we're tapping into conformity. We don't want y'all to look like this all the time. Sometimes you have to have on that yellow. Okay? And so for all of my fellow entrepreneurs, all of my people that are sowing seeds and chasing their dreams, I'm going to play this song from Beth featuring Swifty McVeigh from Eminem's Group D12. Got next. I'll see you soon.
Our time. Y'all had a chance to shine, and we'll be cutting y'all in front of that line. You either out or you riding. My homie right beside me with a hustling persona and a crown full of diamonds. Climbing these charts and you ain't stopping a profit. She's staying on fire like the back of a damn rocket. Total control, cold as the North Pole, busting these flows. It's our time to blow, so just know
they may be on right now, but somehow, trust me, I got next. They may be on right now, but somehow, trust me, I got next. They may be on right now, but somehow, trust me, I got next.
See you soon.